competition that we're also creating from the fires of competition, some friendships that will stand the test of time as well.
I've been really excited seeing the compositions coming into today as well. You know, one of my friends was asking me yesterday, like, what compositions can I run without dragons? They're a dragon hater. And I said, you're going to watch, you're going to look for scale scoring. And I told them the composition, and now Deisik has been running it like all day. And they messaged me, they were like, oh, you mean like that? And I was like, yeah, like that, let's go.
Oh boy, I mean, just to go all the way back to our first, the first games we were seeing on stream, just, our players have been finding new and more terrifying ways within the, the kind of micro meta that we've got set up in the competition. I think for me, and it was being highlighted on the analyst test though, the rise of Scale Scorn still feels like it casts a shadow over the whole field, and given the success it's found for Deisik so far, I wonder if we might actually see people trying to skew themselves more to having an answer to it.
Yeah, and I also wonder if someone else is going to contest it. You know, we haven't seen it played a whole lot. It reminds me of something similar to like the Astral composition, where people run it if they feel like they have a good position for it, but very few players seem to be looking for the position. So wondering if Deisik is going to be trying to find an opportunity to play it again, or if he's going to do something a little bit more flexible this game.
And it's worth noting coming into this lobby as our players will be looking to get those strong early games that we've got a very big separation again if you just missed the points table from before. We've got our 5 players who are up there, pretty happy. Volta, Deisik, SwellerTiger, Darkest and brubbba. They're all pretty happy right now. But that's 5 players who are doing well in the standings. Everybody else is almost the same score as each other, which means there's a huge drop off as we've been good this year and we were rewarded.
We have our prismatic first augment coming in, and Deisik scratching his temples, trying to figure out what exactly he wants to go for. And he's got quite a few options coming in here. Level up this early, though, taking a risk.
I'd love to see the Shimmer Scale Soul come in. We've just had it proven to our faces exactly how good it can be, but no, Deisik goes for the classic tournament player's choice. Just get a couple of good items in. In fact, you get 2 of almost identical items, but you've still got the Reforges. You don't even have to use all of them.
Tiaan on the other side of the field going for Radiant Relics, picking up that Sunfire Cape. That's going to be a lot of early power for this board.
Oh boy, yeah, Tiaan's really looking to try and go through. Of course, the big power of the Radiant Sunfire Cape is it basically just reaches across most of the board, so Tiaan should have a hell of an early run.
Yeah, very low cooldown on it as well, as you're seeing, which allows it to just rip through boards very quickly. Should get him a good win streak going here, and he's going to need it in order to stay in that top side of the standings and make it to day 3.
But hello, who has been paying attention? It's Salvi who picks up the first Scale Scorn emblem. So we know you don't have, I think Panama was saying it really well on the analyst test. We were kind of assuming that we needed to hit 6 Scale Scorn to get the most, over the top Scale Scorn to work. But I think if you've got just one emblem, you can drop the Lilia or the Braum and get yourself in a really uber powerful Talon instead later on.
Yeah, depends on what you're going for. Depends on where you want to keep those synergies, where you want to swap out. Do you want the Guardians? Do you want the Cavaliers? What frontline is best for this composition, for this lobby? And from there, you can work it out. Meanwhile, Voltariux tried and true here with the Cavalier emblem, setting himself up for the later stages of the game.
Of course, we expect them to go heavily towards Mirage, but let's see. So up against brubbba. Of course, brubbba in our previous game is showing off just what is possible if you put together a big loss streak. Get yourself a lot of money, and maybe you can put that money towards leveling.
Going to be putting down a lot of pressure on the lobby once he starts getting that, but the loss streak coming out again. We've talked so much today about loss streaks, and for good reason. It has been a very divisive strategy. We have seen players, yesterday Zebroyson absolutely popped off with this strategy, going for those loss streaks. But as many times as we've seen it succeed, we've seen it fail with dramatic effect. They go down to 30 HP and they keep bleeding out. brubbba last game was able to recover, but only barely finding that siphon at level 6. You can't rely on that, and I'm wondering how it's going to go for him this game.
I'll check in with SwellerTiger, who is currently on 18 points, so sitting pretty up there. They've got themselves a very early guild down on looking to build out a Lilia carry. We've of course seen the ridiculous level of flexibility you can have when you've got, the guild to build around.
And now this board in the back end is going to be providing a little bit of damage from this Rise, but not sure if it's going to be enough against this composition. That front line is pretty powerful. And the Aatrox do. Very, very strong early in this game.
Aatrox is a pretty pony indeed, and scooting around the place like that. I love that we've just got a laden Aatrox here. He's just got bunged every item you could slam from Volta straight away.
Yeah, why not? One of the strongest level 2 units. I think there was an analysis that came out a couple of patches ago at this point that said Aatrox 2 is the strongest 2-star 1 cost. And we're seeing why. Does so much damage, gets natural inbuilt healing, and you can just kind of toss whatever item on him. He's still going to be able to deliver for you. So really good early game strategy that may be able to get the streak all the way into stage 3.
So just, again, to go back to the overall points here for a second as we kind of get in, the players which we really need to be keeping an eye out for very closely in this game, Salvi, Tiaan, Skrambez. They're the players who are vulnerable to being overtaken from the lower table. Not the loser's table, Panda, the lower table, because they can propel themselves up. They're only about 1 or 2 points behind. So if any of those 3 players have bad finishes here, their spot on the top 8 is very much not secure.
And we'll keep an eye on them as the game goes forward. But in the meantime, Deisik picking up this 3-item combo with the Bloodthirster, Rageblade, and Edge of Night. We've seen this in previous games, popped on a Siphon, so could be the angle that Deisik is looking for.
Oh my gosh, yeah, really all in. I love the Edge of Night as well to keep all of those items nice and intact. Unfortunately, this is a very, very strong Tiaan early board. We've noted the Radiant Sunfire, so that's going to be able to cut out a lot of the healing. I think in this case, the Ione is going to have a little bit of trouble. They have just about scaled up. The shield will keep them up and fighting. For Deisik, this would be a big win. It keeps their win streak going, heading towards Krugs.
This is unfortunate for Tiaan because, like you were saying, in light of their current placement, they have the onus on them to do incredibly well this game, and a great strategy for guaranteeing your success in the later stages of the game is going for that early win streak. Conserve that HP, you have a lot more to play with. And that Radiant Sunfire was a great way to do that. Unfortunately, not quite enough against Deisik's board.
I mean, with Tiaan, what Tiaan's got put together here, you kind of got a grab bag of various different relatively strong early game units, just looking to hold on long enough for that Radiant Sunfire to burn through everybody. I think, it's unusual for people to have that much power on the board as Deisik does, but I think Tiaan will do fun against everybody else. Brubbba, though, we can see they've held on. They are currently down at the bottom of the table with 68 HP.
It's really risky loss streak, and it's with an incredibly weak board. Somewhat intentionally, obviously, to get the loss streak going, but losing so many units does real wonders for your HP dropping cataclysmically early. So 62 coming in to this PvE round, but a successful 5-loss streak.
You can see Brubbba looking very thoughtful up in the top left of your screen right now. I think further to what you were saying before, it is so incredibly risky to play for the loss streak. But in a prismatic lobby where we've seen some very aggressive prismatic options coming in, it means that the difference between playing against a gold lobby versus the prismatic lobby could be a whole ton of extra HP as you get swept away.
And on the exact opposite side of the board, we see, of course, Deisik, our only player streaking all the way through the PvE rounds, still at 100 HP off the back of this Ione 1, but a fully itemized one.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, this is Spell Sword to remember from Mirage, so it's going to be a high priority Mirage across the field. We haven't maybe been seeing as much, we've been seeing a lot of Deja coming around as a kind of transitional unit, which has been mentioned before, but not necessarily, as the high priority focus, as much as we've seen the incredibly late game boards dominate.
Now Deisik has some options here if he wants to slam a Thieves Glove. We've seen this happen before. Gluteus in a previous match was slamming that for a little bit of early power, but it depends on what Deisik's item priority is and his gameplay priority. Like you were saying, can go for that later stages.
So,
but there it is.
No, please.
The Thieves Glove slam coming out immediately from Deisik. He was thinking along the same lines as I was, and coming in with a little bit more early board power for that Thresh.
So looking at the economy readout we've got from Blitz GG at the moment, brubbba, brubbba is doing well. They've got the last streak, they've got the goal, but notable across the rest of the field is that everybody else economically is doing pretty well as well. There isn't as big of a separation from brubbha and everybody else that I suspect that brubbha would like.
Yeah, especially if you're going for that strategy, you really need to be ahead of everyone else in some metric in order for that risk to have paid off, in order for that sacrifice of HP to have paid off. But so far, not sure how well it's going for him.
Now, Sweller will fall victim to Deisik to keep that streak on running. Darkest, though, has got a streak of their own building up as brubbha will be facing down the might of our good friend. This one isn't a pony, but it's still a very strong Aatrox, taking them through stage 2 and now into stage 3.
It is a double prismatic lobby, our 4th game of the day. Coming in here, Celestial Blessing 3 picked up there alongside Level Up, and now brubbha on this 3-2 mark has to roll down, has to find some stability in his board, because now that we know it's a double prismatic lobby, the pressure on these weaker boards is so much higher. The tempo has just rocketed into the stratosphere.
I think if we're under different circumstances, maybe brubbha would have held on a little bit longer to get up to level 8 and put together what could easily have been their end game board. I mean, at least they found a dragon to work with, but the rest of their board is looking pretty anemic.
I'm honestly surprised to not see them pick up the Talon here. You had the Talon plus the Pike, so that gives you at least the Assassin combination. You've got items for them. It would give you a little bit more board strength and let you just hold on a little bit longer.
Oh my gosh, Volta picking up the level up as well means that the late game does not necessarily exclusively belong to brubbha. But you've at least got the Pike going through though. If Pike can get the executes, they can start building up the Goldmancer's money.
There we go, 2 gold already on the board, plus a win here for brubbha. Going to stabilize his board, stabilize his economy, and let him get that 2 interest streak coming into the next round.
Oh my gosh, I think brubbha are getting a chance to breathe again. Certainly they've been a very entertaining player to watch with how much risk they're willing to put into their gameplay.
Yeah, wondering if this is where they're going to start slamming items as we see everything coming out across the board. Salvi going for Cavalier Unity, interestingly, with that prismatic on the back of the scale score and composition.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. So presumably we will see Lilia sticking around in this comp. So, of course, we're keeping our eye out to see if Salvi will manage to hit up the 6 scale scorn. Otherwise, presumably, we'll be seeing Brawn making an exit to make room for a whole bunch of very high defense units with that extra bit of Cavalier Unity resistance.
Yeah, we'll see how strong this Olaf can be. I'm not sure quite how many stacks he has at the moment, but with this rapid fire cannon, he can stay getting that access to the carries without himself being in danger. But he's up against Deisik, so far undefeated in this game. So it's going to be Yone versus Olaf to decide who gets to keep their power on board. Looks like it'll be Deisik.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think at this point it's comparable. I think it's an awkward position here because we've got Cavalier Unity giving us a whole bunch of defensive stats, but as you said, Olaf doesn't really need them right now because they're staying out of trouble. So I think it'll be a while before we'll see Salvi be able to realize the full potential of composition. Deisik, though, they're sitting pretty up at the top of the table. They are our current... they're not a current score leader, but they're pretty close to it on 19 points. They're feeling very comfortable about their chances of making day 3.
And looking at these items, components provided by Blitz.gg, we see that Sweller has an open spatula available, and I'm curious to see what he's going to turn that into. Has picked up a tier, so potentially a mage spat coming out. Depends on where he's going and what he finds in the later stages. So we see Deisik leveling up to 7.
We've got the chance to bring in more shimmer scale here, potentially. Right, for a while we've been leaning pretty hard on the Mirage, and it's been working very well. But I'm trying to figure out where for Deisik, kind of what their long-term game plan is here, because we don't necessarily have the most amazing option for all the items which Yone's got right now on anybody else immediately.
Well, and if you're Deisik, you're sitting on a Yone 1 carry at 3-5. This is not tenable for like any longer in this game. If he keeps winning all the way to stage 4, I will be absolutely flabbergasted.
And it's worth noting as well, we've got Idis who's got the Gold Monster stuff in there. Well, it will give them a whole bunch, or give her a whole bunch of AP to provide more defensive stats. You're not getting paid off for getting the kills, because Idis, of course, doesn't have really any offensive power to get those kills.
The Yone, fortunately for Deisik, is going to be able to clean this one up pretty effectively. So maybe I am talking, you know, complete nothingness as we're seeing this Yone still continue to streak Deisik forward. If he makes it to stage 4, he's got new recruit, he's got more items than anyone else in the game. I think this is Deisik's game to lose.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there is a reason why we're casting instead of playing in these games. These players are going to be—they're going to be leading us around rather than the other way around. But I think what we've got here is so many shields for that Yone. Yeah, we've got you've got 4 Guardian coming in, including the massive shield from Idis. We've got the Locket as well. It's incredibly hard to stop that Yone from stacking.
And there we go. We see brubbba has committed those items onto the pike.
Ooh, damn.
That Quicksilver plus the Infinity Edge just jumping from target to target. This could be Deisik's death. Here, the Yone finally falls, and Deisik will take, presumably, his first loss of the game so far.
And of course it would be to brubbba, who's the one who keeps us on the very edges of our seats. We have seen Pike carry coming through some of the later game comps, but this is a very rare opportunity to see it drop this early on. brubbba, they're back in control. They've got a win streak. They've got the level up. They've got a path to the end game.
This is exactly what we saw brubbba do last game, right? Start with that loss streak, find their way to stability, and then just streak all the way through the rest of the game. But this time, they've got 20 more HP to work with.
I'm really loving what we're seeing. I mean, Deisik, they've gotten an enormous amount of gold from what they've seen early on, but we haven't seen SwellerTiger for a while, and it looks like they are going to build a little bit deeper into the guild side. So we've seen something like this before. We'll end up with, you know, it's kind of 4 guilds and then 4 of something else.
I'm wondering if it's oh my god! Just a Tactician's Crown off the jump, plus another spatula to boot. SwellerTiger just winning it all from that PvE round. Nothing more you could ask for.
Oh, jeez. I mean, yeah, SwellerTiger has a path open for them as well. We've got all our players bringing in, well, Darkest as well. I think we just saw 3 different 2-stars coming in for Darkest in a single round. Salvi is powering up as well. All of our players are stamping their foot on the accelerator. This is the point in day 2 when they can really secure their position to make sure they get to the checkmate round of the competition. Now it's Xayah versus Xayah.
Now Xayah Guild working its magic, but you've got to look at that talent jumping away, giving Xayah more time to work with here for SwellerTiger. That Shyvana, mighty scary, but getting ripped to shreds there by the Xayah. 1 versus 1. Who will take it? Not Sweller, unfortunately for him, as Darkest will find their victory.
It's almost a passing of the torch that I'm here to see, you know, Guild Xayah, our old friend, against the new hotness, which is Ragewing Xayah, who's been taking so much more of the spotlight. Tiaan will get the win against Deisik there as well, so our world is being upturned, and what was winning before is no longer taking the win.
Let's look at the options here for Tiaan. I expect it'll be something a little bit flexible here. You've got the Celestial Blessing to allow you to not put more healing items on your carries. That will be the choice here, as we see a Shio U2 already on the board here for Tiaan.
I like what we've got here. We've still, of course, got our Sunfire Cape from earlier on. Going to be held for the time being by Leona. Of course, we're hoping to pick up a Nico. Let's check in what Salvi is up to. So, Scale Scorn, we will not be seeing Scale Scorn 6 outside of some extreme edge case scenarios. What we will be seeing, though, is a different approach to the Scale Scorn than we've seen before.
Yeah, this is a heavy investment here into the Cavaliers. Not going for the 3-star for the Olaf, or at least has found absolutely nothing during previous rolldowns, but going both Devastating Charge and Cavalier Unity. All of the damage comes out through those charges. It's going to be quite a bit of burst at the beginning of rounds. It seems like it's doing well into Skrambez's board so far.
I love the Devastating Charge. It's such a fascinating augment. It's definitely one of those win more where if you can get the kills, then you can keep on charging, keep doing more damage. It multiplies up. We see a little taste of it there. It's not a small amount of damage, and it's applying to everybody here because everyone is a Cavalier.
Maybe even looking for Lilia 3. As you can see, 2 Lilias on bench already. There was briefly a composition that was a Lilia reroll composition where you toss on her like similar items to what you're going to be seeing in set 7.5 for Swain. Stay tuned. Bloodthirster, Archangels, and Titan's Resolve was a common combination that we saw for that composition. So we could see that kind of angle coming out there for Salvi. Meanwhile, we're back on Darkest board with that spooky Shyvana.
Very spoopy indeed, but it's going to be up against a pretty tough opponent. There's a Shyvana for brubbba as well, so it's going to be pretty tough to put together those Shyvana 2s when it's such a high priority unit. She's going to take the skies on both sides of the field. Keep your eyes on that Xayah in the backline though, because she will be pulling out absolutely massive ultimates. And while the 2 Shyvanas end up against each other, it's Xayah who's going to finish the round.
And Xayah, barely falls. I thought she was going to be able to take it, but a sliver of HP is all Shyvana needs to stay alive. And brubbba's board is looking mighty fine coming in here after stabilizing with that pike, secures the Shyvana on the back, and he is thrilled.
Oh boy, SwellerTiger was surely hoping that they could be able to grab hold of that spatula to get themselves a second Tactician's Crown. Sadly, won't be the case for them. But while we are getting our items set up, I think we need to talk a little bit about growing some trees.
Let's do it. Of course, we are running a campaign with growmytree.com. I believe the link is growmytree.com/discount/TFT-tree. Try and say that 5 times fast. Trying to work on beautifying the world, greening it up, so if you would help us, we would love that. If we get to 1,000 trees from all of you, we here at Rising Legends will donate another 1,000 on top of that.
Yes, and if you do manage to do that as well, I will also tell the story about the very first role I played in a play, which was in fact a tree.
Excellent. I can't wait for that. Now we've got to buy them. Just give me a second. I'm going to be checking the link right now. I'll be back.
All right, while you do that, we'll see what Darkest is up to. So they have got themselves Scorch. We talked about Inspire before for the Swain comp. Scorch is another sort of defining augment for a comp. Be able to do true damage on every 5th attack means that Xayah will have so much higher a cap, and you'll see her rip through the board, having a little bit of trouble with our friend Siphon, but I think they're still just about... No! I'm wrong again! I'm retiring.
It's the Siphon, though. This is the Siphon problem. Once you've got all of that healing, all of that tankiness, Xayah really struggles to tear through it without a Giant Slayer. Luckily, the Treasure Dragon is coming up, so that is an item that is still on the board, and Darkest should have enough gold to be able to roll for it.
So if we're looking, certainly coming out today, again, it's the top 8 players to get through, so being first in day 2 is absolutely some bragging rights. But all you're really doing is making sure you're staying secure. Volta right now is our points leader on 21. They are in danger of getting knocked out in 8th, though.
He could be struggling here. He has just the Deja 1 as his carry, but a Mirage composition behind it, looking for damage as the Shyvana pushes forward. But that Nico is so beefy, may give the Deja the time she needs. Unfortunately, Shyvana gets to ult again, and I think Deja might not be long for this world.
No, it's unfortunate about Volta. I don't know they are. They're dead on 0.
I was expecting him to live with like 3 HP. Volta taking an 8th place, unfortunately for him. That is going to hurt, but he's ready for tomorrow. He is our points leader, like you said, so I am not particularly concerned for his points just yet.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's what getting these firsts can do for you before at least getting the top performance. As we see across the field, we've got 3-4 players who've got decent economy right now, and several players, including Deisik right up at the very top, who have spent every single gold piece to try and stay on top of the table.
That's what you've got to do when you get here, and brubbba now has a ton of gold to work with. Doesn't look like he's going to be pushing for that level 10 that level up allows you to take, but he is going to have a mighty fine board off the back of it, nonetheless.
Yeah, wow. So much good stuff being put together. So we've got the 2-star Bard, we've got the 2-star Zoe. We're probably going to end up having a 2-star Shyvana as well. I'm so impressed that not only has brubbba been able to pull things back from a relatively sharp early dive, but they've managed to get to this point with such a strong board and still with a good amount of HP to back it up.
And now all of those items are going to be tossed onto that Yasuo. Has the pair sitting there. So once brubbba has more gold to roll with, this is going to be an even more dangerous board, slamming all of those item components to get a Zeeks for the Shyvana and the Yasuo in the back line.
This will be SwellerTiger's Ghost with the Guild Xayah from before. Of course, we're keeping our eyes closely on what happens to Shyvana there. Apparently what happens is the entire board just melts away like it was never there.
But Xayah, doing quite a good job of her own, was able to take out a little bit of damage before falling, and now brubbba, with those extra chimes, is going to have even more chances to hit the Shyvana sooner.
As we take a look across our field in stage number 5, Skrambez and SwellerTiger are both below 20 HP. Everybody else has the relative comfort of a few losses behind them, but I think we could be seeing another knockout as, wait a second, Salvi, you predicted it, Matt. We have a 3-star Lilia in our midst.
There we go. You're going for the Cavalier Unity. You're going for the Devastating Charge. You want all the stats you can get on that Lilia. And now, off the back of that as well, is rolling for this Olaf, rolling for this Diana. The only change to the standard composition is that you're fitting in a 3-star Lilia as well.
Oh boy, so that's going to mean a faster turnaround on taking down these units, getting the charge through. We can see brubbba is even having trouble here. We have, of course, got the Shyvana who's going to be able to chew through a lot, but they've almost swapped sides of the board. And once we get to the late rounds, the Shyvana, just can't delete these individual units at all.
To me, the problem is the Yasuo for brubbba, because you're watching him there with the blue buff, with the Scale Scorn and the Cavalier Unity. He is constantly hitting those ultimates, which means every third attack, basically, he's getting that knock-up, and he's disrupting the entire team, while this backline here for Salvi gets to fire away. Look at those Olaf items. He's got RFC, he's got Runon's Hurricane, and he's got Hand of Justice. Nothing can stop him.
Oh my gosh. He's still a few away from realizing the absolute true potential. Skrambez will be fighting for their life. brubbba will be taking them on. This time round is a little bit more of a conventional front to back approach, so Shyvana will be able to take to the skies without being taken out by the Siphon, who spend their time working through. Both of the Dragons going to be able to chew out most of the remaining comps of either side, leaving us more or less in the 1v1. I say more or less, but it's actually going to be Yasuo and Shyvana, along with a little help from Deisik to finish off the round, and that's always going to be impossible to get across.
Skrambez not quite able to pull it back, falls down in a 7th place, and he was in 6th place coming into this one. So he's going to be knocked out of that top 8 contention for the time being. There's still 2 rounds left to go after this one, but it does mean he's in quite a bit of danger.
Oh my gosh, so yeah, SwellerTiger in turn take those 2 lowest spots again. Darkest and brubbba still looking pretty good. So again, coming into this one, we were looking to see if Tiaan in particular could do well. Skrambez, of course, one of our lowest scoring players coming into this one, so definitely in danger of being leapfrogged. I'm sure that our lowest scoring players are very happy that Volta took the 8th, but it still doesn't mean we might be seeing a very different Lobby 5.
I would have expected Tiaan's board to be doing a little bit better, but when you look at the context of the rest of the board, Salvi hitting that Diana 3, you have Deisik at the top, you have so many people just absolutely high-rolling their hearts out that Tiaan's board, just a traditional Jade with the Xiaoyu carry, can't seem to keep up.
All right, Salvi going to take to the field once again. Who's going to be the next victim? SwellerTiger. So unfortunately for Sweller, that talent doesn't really have a whole of anything to hit on the backlines, just falling away. It's going to be entirely down on our friend Xayah to build up those big deletions. The charge, of course, means that any kills that come through unlock the potential, but Salvi is actually struggling to get those kills up until now, and there it comes. The tide lands and Sweller gets slapped on the face.
4 HP left, Tiaan on 1. We have 2 players facing elimination to decide our top 4. At least 30 HP on everyone else in the lobby. So they either have to really turn it around, or they're going to be falling down this round, and we will see our final top 4.
Oh gosh, SwellerTiger, it's gonna be so important where they can, if they can keep that Xayah safe along the front line, is good under most circumstances. There's a lot of Cavalier to try and get past.
Lots of tankiness, should stay in the front line, but you've got Shyvana's coming out. Means she's going to be in danger once she gets jumped on, and we're running into one here from Darkest with a 2-star Shyvana.
A correction to what I was saying before, it's a Tantrum in there rather than the Scorch, which means that the Shyvana will be able to get out and cast the ultimate basically 2 times in a row, which of course, as we can see, is enough to clear the way for the Xayah on the opposite side to make another elimination.
Now watching Tian's board, he looks like we'll survive this round. Xiaoyu proving me wrong, at least for the time being, as Salvi takes his first loss in a long while.
Oh, at least for Tiaan, they did manage to hold on again on 13 points, as is Salvi. Do remember, of course, we talked to Salvi at the end of yesterday, our returning Golden Spatula Cup champion, just joining the competition to try and get more competitive experience. They did incredibly in day one, but today has been a little less kind.
I'm really liking this composition though, and I'm really liking the top end for it. Now that we have Cavalier Unity and Devastating Charge, I think once you see the Olaf 3 coming out from Salvi, this is going to turn around very quickly for him. But if he doesn't find it, he's in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, there's a real decision to make here of how much to spend the gold, how quickly, because we are a pretty long way away from finding that Olaf, and if you spend the gold now, you don't have any interest to spend the gold in a few rounds.
There's also the choice potentially to just give up on the Olaf 3. Try and cap your board through a different avenue, but with only 25 gold, that level 8 is looking so far away. Tiaan just rolling down all of his gold, not able to find an upgrade that he needs.
Alright, Tiaan, let's see if we can hold on against the Mirage again. It's going to be a guild Deisik in this one, so they're going to be hitting like an absolute truck. Spell Sword means a long round goes in favor of the Mirages nearly all of the time. There's no access on the Deisik on the backline. Xiaoyu will spend a little bit of time wandering around the board, but that Nico keeps the front line going for so long. Xiaoyu is still alive, and death will come. Deisik drops.
Finally falling for the Deisik.
I thought I was wrong again.
That was rough. Deisik now to 12 HP, also at risk of elimination. Tiaan may have bought himself another round.
And that's all it is at this point, just crawling up one more stage as brubbba finds themselves a Shyvana 2. The wallet comp up to level 10. I think brubbba wants to take this whole lobby.
Yeah, he's looking for it, and his chances are good. He's got 4 2-star legendaries. He's got the Shyvana, Zoe, Yasuo, and Bard on his board, ready to roll. So he should be in a pretty strong spot, which is bad news for Tiaan.
Very bad news indeed. I mean, yeah, this board is just going to be ridiculous. We're getting back to the days of, I want to say old, days of relatively recent, where we just see Zoe providing CC and immunity across the board. Shyvana and Xiaoyu still going to be a big focus of attention. The Xiaoyu, though, cannot stand when everything is crowd control. Tiaan is gone. Deisik is done. We are down to our top 3.
And it's going to be at least one more round before we start seeing eliminations, unless someone gets absolutely mollywopped at some point. So there's at least one more round for our players to find upgrades. But brubbba, with just 6 gold, won't have the opportunity to roll. The best upgrade he can hope for is on that next carousel.
Oh boy.
He's running 2 Zoes, by the way.
I mean, why not, really? Why not? If one's good, 2's better. I think at this point, you know, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for brubbba to know exactly how to cap out, because they've got so many options. Up against Salvi, though, who is a complete beast, this could be a trouble.
Now we're going to see the Yasuo get the chance to find the knockups in the backline to interrupt that Olaf, who is down to just a sliver of health. Diana uncontested, but the rest of the board behind her has melted, and so will she to the flames of Shyvana. A lot of damage going to be going down there. Darkest and Salvi both dropped to under that 20 HP mark.
We get our last almost certainly last carousel coming in. We have not got the HP to sustain much longer of a game, at least on paper. We've got 3 very closely matched opponents here, but we're seeing brubbba. They found the promised land. Level Up has brought them to just a whole different plane of existence.
Yeah, Level Up with all of the units that they found, all of those legendaries, I would be hard-pressed to find a composition that can beat him at this point. And now, redoing the itemization here for Salvi onto that Yasuo, but hasn't really found the things that he's looking for. No Olaf 3 going to be coming out this game, so just putting the items that he can on this Yasuo and praying that it is enough for this next round.
I mean, Darkest will be their opponent, so we'll see if it will be good enough. So again, we'll see the switching of places. Olaf gets knocked in the air by the Zephyr straight away. Xayah stays alive on the backline, and Talon's going to leave her alone for the time being. So that's a ton of damage on the table. The crowd control is enough to knock Olaf in the air, so that's most of the damage gone. It's now down to Diana to do what she can, but I don't think it was ever going to work out.
No, and now the Shyvana should be able to take her down with the Xayah's help, and Salvi will fall out in 3rd place. But good news for him, because he was at the bottom of that top 8 table, and now has secured a safe spot for himself.
Yeah, I think that is enough, and for Darkest, again, we were praising them. You know, they've really come in and made an absolutely massive splash here. Of course, we talked about previously how Turkey has really come to the forefront of TFT more recently. Darkest leading the charge here in the Superbrawl.
And now brubbba, though, with the upgrade, has found a Pike 2, making that their 5th 2-star legendary.
Oh my gosh. Show some mercy, brubbba. Show some mercy.
No mercy to be found as the Zoe starts firing away, protecting the backline, and Shyvana leaps forward into the fray. So much damage coming out, and Darknesses tries her best to stay alive, keep the flame going, but no luck as brubbba, level 10, Mighty Dragon, finds his way to the top of the lobby, and a great victory.
It's almost a little pocket of what we